Hi guys. Okay, so I'm just going to show you guys an experiment today. I haven't done this one with newspaper. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm working with coffee filters like we normally do for flowers, but the way that I normally dye them is with RIT dye, and I doubt you guys have RIT dye at home. Some of you probably do, but not very many of you probably have that at home. But I'm hoping you guys have paint. So you guys could do this with watercolor or with acrylic paint, and I'm going to show you acrylic paint today, or tempera actually. Acrylic and tempera would be pretty much the same thing, and watercolor already has water, so I'm going to show you acrylic. So I'm just going to show you an example. Okay, so on this paper, oh, it's so bright. Whoa. Okay, so this paper, I just got a scrap paper. It has a drawing on it. Oh, never mind, this one doesn't, but you can grab a scrap paper if you want to do this. You guys can just put down a tablecloth. You guys can do whatever. One thing that's good about paper underneath this is that it absorbs some of the water, so it's not just like if you have like a plastic paper or tablecloth, it's just going to kind of sit there. The water's just going to sit and it's not going to absorb. So it'd be nice to have something like this if you have extra paper sitting around, especially if it's scrap paper. If it's like someone printed something and you don't use it anymore, then just put that down. I also have one that is newspaper. The reason I'm doing an experiment on this one is because I want to see if you guys can use this at home. The problem is that a lot of the time ink will come off, like even when you're touching it, sometimes ink will come off onto your hand. So we'll see. We'll check it out. Either way, you're going to get your coffee filter wet. I might spray it off to the side. You can spray it on your paper. Doesn't really matter. Just make sure it's wet. Okay, so I'm going to put my coffee filter down. And then I got a little cup of, for me I did lids. You guys know I like to use recycled materials, and this way I can throw it away after. So you guys do what you want. If you guys have a little palette, you can use that. And then I'm going to get some acrylic paint. Okay. I'm just going to pour a little bit of acrylic paint into this, basically making it like watercolor kind of. And that's why I'm not showing you watercolor, because watercolor already has water. So it's pretty straightforward. This one doesn't like to come out very well though. It's so goopy. And I have to get it out with my finger. Look at all that goop. Okay. Whoops. That's a lot. Oh well. Sure, it'll be fine. Okay. So I'm just going to mix it in there. I might have too much water, but it's not going to really matter because it's going on the coffee filter anyway. Okay, so I'm basically just kind of turning it into watercolor is what I'm doing. It's still different because it's still acrylic, but I'm going to mix it right over this thing because I'm going to use it over this thing. Okay, so just that. You guys can color it in. You can get it off my finger. Obviously, if it's really watery, you can add more paint. If it's not watery enough, you can add more water to it. You can always add more spray. It's nice to have a spray bottle next to you because the water will spread around more if there's more water, or the paint will spread around more if there's more water. So you can always keep adding paint to it, or oh my gosh, you guys, you can keep adding water to it to spread it around if you want to. Okay, so you can do this. One thing you can actually do, I'll show you in a minute. Let's try the newspaper first. All right, so move over the newspaper. Guess what I'm holding my phone in, you guys? I'm holding it in a stapler because I don't have a good, my stapler's holding it because I don't have a good cell phone holder here. Okay, so I wet it down. We'll experiment and see if the print comes through from the newspaper. So this is all an experiment, we'll see. Okay, same thing. This time I'm just gonna pour what I have left on here. And I might have to get more paint, but we'll see. Yeah, it's gonna be really light, so I'm just gonna add some red paint, just for fun. Just check it out. I don't care what color it is. And it'll be more fun. See how it spreads around. There we go. That will spread around. And this one, you guys saw that I already cut out the flower. I just thought you guys might want to see both. I did one that's just a circle and one that has a flower on it. Okay, this is one thing I was going to show you, is that on this one, I just did this in another one. But if you have too much water, like or too much paint sitting on top, the one thing that's good about that is, let me grab another coffee filter. The one thing that's good about that is that if there's lots still sitting on top of it, I can take another coffee filter and stick it on there, and then I don't have to paint two separately. This one will mostly just soak through. You see that? Okay, my hands are getting dirty. You might want to focus on, get some gloves if you guys really care about that. You guys know me, I just kind of get a little bit messy, and that's okay. Alright, so you can do that. If you can, if there's even more, you can add a third layer if you really want to. This one's not super wet, so it'll be lighter on this third layer. But I can also just add, see, like it's mostly coming through, but I can spray more water. It'll probably still be lighter because there's not as much paint on this third layer exactly, but I'm going to pick up that paint that I had from the other one and just add a little bit more of that. Okay, I can add more on top of it. It's not specific, you guys. You guys can kind of just play around. On these projects I'm giving you guys, you kind of play around and you experiment, and that's kind of a lot of what art is anyway. It's just playing around and experimenting and seeing how things work. Okay, I'm going to leave the purple on this side. Maybe a little bit more purple if I can get some out of there. Or fuchsia, whatever color this is. See, so I can even keep some of the purple on this side and keep the red on this side and have it be kind of two-tone flower and not mix it all together. Or I can go back and mix it. It's up to you. I'll take pictures of these when they're done so you guys can see what happens on newspaper and what happens on the paper. Yeah, so this is just the painting part. Like I said, you guys can use tempera paint, you guys can use watercolor paint. If you want to do RIT dye, you can do that too. But the thing about RIT dye is that and actually with these two, you'll have to just let them air dry. You could take them outside and put them on your lawn or something like that to air dry. But with RIT dye, what I usually do is I dye them and then I put them in the dryer. And that's why you'd have to talk to your mom and dad, because it is dye and it goes in the dryer. It hasn't been a problem for me. I usually just throw rags in after and that are wet so that it kind of soaks up a little bit of it. And then I do have to sometimes scrub it. So, but it's never been a problem for clothes afterwards if I just get rid of what I can see. So, but that's not up to me. That's up to your parents. Anyway, there's that, and I'll show you guys pictures when they're done.